Been a while. Hi. Get the volume adjusted a little bit. Should be a little bit better there. Howdy, howdy. So, I recently bought a it was a set from Kickstarter where basically you get different it's called short circuits, and it's a Kickstarter where basically you get to wire your own computer parts, and I thought it would be neat to kind of do that together. I've never done any soldering before, so I thought I'd play around and see what we got here. So there's four parts here. There's a digitizer, there's a sensor array, and they each come with a motherboard that you're going to add things to, a little container here that contains all the parts that we're going to be soldering them, and I actually purchased a soldering iron, which is over here, and I need to go ahead and open this up. I've never actually done wiring before, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. So, hi there. We're going to learn this together, and hopefully, I'm not going to burn my house down. That is kind of the hope. It's the plan for today. Anyway. So I went online. I got the Xtronic 3000 series soldering iron controller. It seemed to be on Amazon the best bet for what's out there that wasn't too expensive and too much of a fire hazard and cheap junk. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. So I've set up a little camera here so you can see my workstation. We're not going to need this or this. I've shown you that Kickstarter backers rock, and I'm one of them. So I got this little thing from Short Circuits. This is the little cover. Got me a new relamp, which you can see the halo of right here. You can, I can't, which is a little peculiar. So what I've got on the screen right here is the little information about this is our instruction manual, how we're supposed to solder it all together. So I've got to make sure I've got all the parts here. It's one more thing that I need. That's set there. All right, so this is my digitizer pack. I've got the motherboard. I've got a little, this is what it should look like by the time we finish it. We'll see how well that goes. And then, of course, this is my bare PCB, as well as the back where I'm going to be doing most of the soldering too. My soldering iron came with a little rubber plate here that I'm going to be using. I've got some LEDs that I'm going to be adding, as well as some chips that we're going to be adding, and then all of these sensitive little things. So I'm going to go ahead and open this packet. I did an opening, I did an unboxing video for this Kickstarter a couple of days ago, and my phone ate it, which sucks, but that happens. All right, so real quick, the printed board is made of resin and fiberglass with a layer of copper on top and bottom. This is a 2-layer board, but boards with no layers are common. We can use PCB boards like the free KiCad or Eagle, Altium, etc. to lay out our circuit. The circuit is composed of footprints that hold the various components and traces. So anyway, the idea here is that we've got this PCB board here, and you got the black, which is kind of the surface. You've got copper on top of it, and then over the top of some of the copper is some more paint that basically covers the copper, keeps the signals from crossing each other. But we've got some exposed copper, and that's where we're actually going to be soldering the wiring to. This is going to have some places for banana clips, I'm assuming, but there should also be like a USB connector or something that we're going to be working on, or I think it may be the processor that has a USB connector. You can see some of the tips that we have here. So we've got the chips, we've got the chip holders, some capacitors, some transistors, resistors, some LEDs, sensors, and some stands, basically, so that we can stand this up so that the surfaces aren't touching anything. So talking a little bit about the manual, the schematic, a bit of materials, explanation of the circuit, and assembly instructions. This is primarily what we're going to be working on today. All right, so about my digitizer. So a digitizer, this is the front. Digitizer has a digital output board with a few inputs thrown in to let you control your device. So I'm going to have 4 of these LEDs, which is what I've got here. I'll go ahead and set those off to the side. Each of these segments are addressable. Powering all 28 would take more pins than the motherboard has. So we have 2 595 shift registers, and so that's the chips that we're going to be adding, I'm assuming here and here. And for inputs, we're going to have 2 switches and a potentiometer. A potentiometer is a little dial, which is probably going to go in this middle here. So we'll talk about this. So we've talked about the 4 7-digit segments. Those are the ones I've got over here off to the side. We've got 2 595 shift registers, and those are going to go in these slots here. So let me, goodness, I can't seem to get these chips out. They're kind of on top of each other, which is a little troublesome. Let me get a small pencil to work it out. Almost. Got most of the way out. There we go. So these are our, let's see if I can get in close enough to see this. Not really. They're just little chips here. So I believe this is our 595. The thing is, they look like they would go in here, and these other 2 don't. These other 2 are going to go for another project that came in the box. There were 2 projects in the box, so I'm going to go ahead and set these aside in here. And I'm going to put this away. This is for another time, for another day. Let me put that in the right spot. Let's do that right now. So that's this spot right here. All right. What else do we have in the bag? What else is in the bag? Lots of stuff. Getting it all out. So I've got several different sizes of resistors. And of course, the way you read resistors is going to be by the colors going across them. So we will take a look at those in a bit. Those are nicely taped together, especially this one right here, which is taped to itself. So we'll go ahead and set those off to the side. These are the stands that we were talking about, the standoffs. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of move them off as well. We're not going to need them at this point. So I'm just going to move them away. So we have 4 of those. Good. Right. So we have the DIP 16 sockets, we have the 595 chips, we have the 2 100 microfarad capacitors. I see one here, I see a second one here. Excellent. So there are our capacitors. I'll go ahead and set those over here. We should have 4 PNP transistors. Find those are these right here. These are our PNP transistors. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one's stuck to the wrapper. We should have some 8 560 ohm resistors. So I'm assuming because there's 8, they're going to cut these packs of 4s that we're looking at. Or maybe it's the stack of 8. We'll have to look at those colors a little bit closer when we get to the resistor part. Right now, though, they're nice and already organized. So I'll just keep those organized for now. I've got a blue LED, a red LED, a green LED, and an orange LED. And I have no way of telling just by inspection what colors we're dealing with, so I'm going to set those off to the side. I have 2 tactile switches. It looks like these. Push these in and they provide some type of resistance. That looks like it's slightly bent. Let me try and straighten that out. There are my switches, which I'll set off here, and there should be a second one here. All right, I have one 10K potentiometer. It's nice and easy to identify because it's blue and it is also slightly bent, so we will adjust that in a bit. Put that there. We got 11 screw terminals. I'm assuming that's these. We have 1, 2, 3. The screw likes the screw terminal. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 screw terminals. There's another resistor, which I will put over here just in case. We have 4 6mm hex screws. And that's these. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in one of these little compartments as well. Don't really need them right now. Come on. Problem with having huge hands is that you can't really, don't do that. Don't fall in there. All right. And so everything, all of our items are accounted for. So tools needed. We have a soldering iron, which I've got here. It's currently set at 200 degrees. I'll adjust that in a bit. We've got some solder, which I've got here as well. Side cutters, which I've got in this little collection box right here. This is some of my other tools. So I've got some side cutters, which I will put off to the side, amazingly enough. I need a 2mm screwdriver. So let me go to my toolbox and get that out. I need a 2mm screwdriver. So that will work for that. And then an Allen wrench. So I'm going to get that later when I need it. I would imagine that's at the point when I need to work on these stands. So we will do that. All right, now there are some symbols here that we need to know. What resistors look like and are designated R. The capacitors are designated with a C. The LEDs are a D. Momentary switches are switches. Potentiometer is an RV. We have these for our other chips. We have a transistor, which is this Q, and the screw terminals are J. So we will continue to refer to that. Here is our PCB design. This is going to match up with what we have here. And then circuit schematic. So that's basically each one of these ends that we've got here are going to connect to, if you follow the traces, they're going to connect to either this chip or this chip, 2 parts of the chips, and we will deal with those in a bit. So we've got basically how each of the transistor switches work, how the 7-segment displays work, the LEDs, and again, I have no way of determining which LED is the correct LED. I may actually have to like run current through them to see. Okay, D1, D2, D3, D4. Do we actually have labels on these? Because I cannot read anything on them. I just see the LEDs. I don't see any markings on them whatsoever. All right, we'll figure it out. Okay. So I want to get to the assembly part. I'll worry about the LEDs later. This is basically talking about how everything's going to get in here. Assembly instructions. Always keep your tip clean to ensure your soldering iron can transfer enough heat. You must keep the tip clean and shiny. A dull tip means it's been oxidized. To keep it clean, wipe it on a wet sponge, then apply some solder to cold it, then wipe again. Ideally, you should do this after every component. At the very least, do it after every 4 components. So I've got me a wet sponge here. I've got my tip here, and should be up at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. When soldering, make sure the tip of your iron is making contact with both the leg of the component and the pad of the PCB. It's better to be too hot than too cold. When the iron tip isn't hot enough, you have to hold it longer. That transfers heat to the component. Lead solder is much easier to work with. I do have a 60-40 mix of lead. Safety, 350 is very hot. Stuff catches fire. So I'm assuming 350 is the temperature we need to have our solder at. We're going to be doing the bending the resistors legs. We're going to be inserting the capacitor's leg straight on. And so the first thing they want us to do is to take care of the resistors and the capacitors. All right, so I'm noticing that all of these are the same that have the pink on them, and all the pinks are aligned to the left. So I need to look at these and see which one of these has the pink on them. And these appear to have the pink on them. This is the 5. And then I believe these are the rest of the ones with the, yeah. Over here, these are the ones with the brown, green, and blue. So these are the green ones. These are the pink ones. So I'm going to be using these, making sure those are pink. Make sure those are pink as well. All right, so we're going to have our first adventure in soldering. I'm going to turn my soldering up to 350. Away. And here we go. Cool. All right, so while I'm waiting for my soldering iron to go up real quick, I'm going to check on something. Hold on. All right. Everything looks good. Here we're going to go. This is our first resistor. Let's see, is this hot enough? I'm not seeing any. Okay, I am getting a little bit of steam from that. All right. So they said when we were doing this, when we had our soldering iron, where's our soldering iron instructions? Make sure the tip is making contact with both the leg of the component and the pad. It's better to be too hot and too cold. So wipe it on the wet sponge, then apply some solder to coat it, then wipe it again. All right. So apply some solder to coat it. Let's see if that works. Cool. That coats it and then wet it again. All right, so that should shine it up. Let's first resistor, we're going to go over here for these positions here. First thing we're supposed to do is bend it as close to the resistor as possible. Then we're going to send it through the holes. So those are these resistor holes right here. Pink goes, which way does pink go? Just making sure I've got this in the right direction. Pink is, okay, I'm not at, did I miss something? I'm too far ahead. That's the problem. I'm too far ahead. Pink goes to the left. Pink is on the left. Excellent. So we're going to go ahead and send this through. Send this through. Okay. Come on. I'm guessing I didn't get those close enough to the resistor to do that. So let's straighten that. And then try and fold it a little bit closer. Same on this side. Pink on the left. Now resistors shouldn't matter. The order shouldn't matter, I don't believe. I believe resistors will resist either way the direction comes in. I know transistors have to be in particular order. I don't believe resistors do. All right. That was a bend I didn't want. I want this to be as close to this as possible. All right. So now I've got that. And I believe I'm supposed to clip these first. Is that what I'm supposed to do? Clip these first? Right. Don't lose the capacitor. And then I am supposed to bring the solder over and I'm stuck. I have soldered the solder. That is great. All right, so let's... All right, so I have soldered the solder to the part. I need to actually bring it closer to the item. So let's trim that a little bit more. All right. This is supposed to be here, a little bit closer. And then the same thing on this side. All right. Let's put that away and take a look at what we've done here. So I'm not seeing a bead of solder on the copper. I'm expecting the bead of solder to kind of be on the copper. So I think I'm doing that wrong. Let's try that again, see how that works. That looks a little bit better. I need to cut these closer. So I know that for the future, we need to be a little bit more closely cutting with those. Those look fairly okay for a first time ever doing it. So there we go. Oh, goodness. All right, let's get our second one. So like I said, this is the first time I've ever done this, so, you know, don't... Well, they just got rid of dislikes on YouTube videos, so you can't unlike it. You can unlike it, but no one will know, so that's good. I'll know, but that's all that matters. All right, so here's my second one. I make sure my pink is aligned to the left. Make sure these go in the holes. Let me go ahead and pull that through. Now we cut these really short. That was one thing I noticed that I needed to do, was to cut these short. And then I'm going to solder these in place. So let's get the solder out. Tin this up a little bit more. All right. To do this one. And this one. Did it again. Let go. Let go. All right, let's take a look at what I've got here. I need to get rid of this connection there. Those still don't look like good connections, so I need to redo those. Okay. See how that looks. Those actually look pretty good. So we're 2 down. Let's start looking at the third resistor. Again, we need to remember we're bending it close, making sure the pink is on the left. pushing that in a little bit more, without bending these too much. That's the thing, these resistor holes just seem very, very close. I don't feel like I can get them in as close as I want them to be. But that'll be good enough for now. Let's go ahead and trim this. Trim this. All right, and these are starting to collect a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure they're out of the way. All right, so now we're on our third resistor and making sure we've got pink on the left on all three of them. Excellent. All right, get a little tinning on this. All right. That looks good. And I think that's good. Let's just check it one more time. There we go. All right, so how does that look? That looks pretty good. Got that. Awesome. All right, fourth resistor. Again, fold it as close as we can to the resistor. I don't know why I can't get this side folded the way I can the other side. That's the problem. Let's try that. Straighten that out. Fit it through the hole. Pink on the left, just for consistency's sake. Just get it into the hole. There we go. That folded fairly well. I think that's going to be my best. That's the thing about soldering, though, and that's the thing about electronics, is that you should always strive to improve. Right. A little tinning up. Then we'll add some copper to here. And some here. Now, the thing is, my dad was an amazing electrician. He could do a lot of this stuff very quickly, very easily. I am not. That's okay. We're learning. So that's all that matters, right? All right, so those are those four resistors. So we have completed the left side over here. You see all these left four resistors right here? We've completed those. So now we're going to go across the top. So we've got these four resistors. Notice I've got one with the pink facing down, one with the pink facing up, and then one of the green ones, and then another one of the pinks facing down. We'll take care of the pinks first. Make sure I got all of those resistors out of the way. So this is our last of the set of 5 pinks. I'll go ahead and fold these down. And these go in the spots above, and this one pink goes down. Pink is facing down. Stick these in the hole. And these I have to be a little bit more careful of, because I notice I've got circuitry right next to that. Those are going to be the LEDs, I'm assuming. And of course, we've got different resistors for each of these because they're different LEDs. That's the idea behind this, right? All right, so we'll go ahead and cut these close. And I do apologize, if you are an electrical engineer or you do circuitry all the time, you're probably looking at this and wincing as I do this, and I'm sorry, but that's just, I'm new. Everyone starts off new. Gotta learn sometime. Everyone has their first failure project, and you know what? This is going to be mine. You just deal with it. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Looks like I'm seeing the tinning in there is the way I'm covering the copper. That's the objective. I'm covering the copper. And the idea is that if I take these leads here and I completely cover the copper, so I'm not seeing the orangish metal, I'm just seeing the white metal, it should be correct. That's the idea here. All right, so I've got trash here. I'm going to clean up a little bit of this trash as long as I'm here. Just swipe this off onto my hand. Dump it into my trash can over there. All right, so I need to look at these and see which one of these are my next pink ones, because these all look like, okay, so those look like the pink ones. And I should have 9. I should have 9. I see 4 on the left, I see 3 on the top, and I see 2 down here at the bottom. So I should have 9. We've used 5. I've got 4 left. That makes sense. And then over here, I've got 8 of these green and 1 more of the green, so I should have 9 of the green. I believe that's what I've got here, but I've got something extra there. I'm not sure why I've got extra there, but we'll make do. All right, now for this second spot, the pink is actually going to be on top. So I'm going to fold this down. Is that pink though? Yeah, that's pink. Okay, good. Just making sure. Do y'all talk to yourself when you're doing these projects? Is that just me? Apparently it's just me. I've never done one of these projects before, but I'm talking to myself as I do it, so. Haha! There we go. All right, this is going to be resistor number 6. Pull that through. Do our little trimming. All right, it's been a while since I tinned this, so let's run it through the water, and then get a little solder. And then run it through the water again. That should do it. And now we're doing the second one. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's the problem right there. I need to make sure pink was up, and I put pink down. That's why you check before you do stuff, right? So I need to get this out. It's going to be difficult because I've already trimmed it. So let's see. All right. Let's do this again. Second verse, same as the first. There we go, and we'll do this one as well. There we go. All right, and it looks like we've got the silver area all covered up. We have 3 more pink resistors. One is going to be in that R18 position, which is that far right on the top. And it's pink down. All right. Let's get this going. Get this going. And pink down. So pink is going to go down. Let's put this through the holes. Wow, that was a good fit. That's actually going to be really, really close. All right, let's get some soldering going on here. It's in this 4th position. Let's tin it a little. That in, and that looks good. So our final two pinks are going to be these positions down here. So it's going to be, what is it, resistor 6 and resistor 5 and resistor 6. That's going to be these positions here and here. We've got two more. Pink is going to the right on both of them. All right, so pink is going to the right for resistor 5. It's going to be here and here. Put that in. Snippy snip time. Not in there, though. That's not there. This is where I'm keeping my snips. All right, let's go ahead and solder this. And that left one needs to be done a little bit better. The problem is I actually soldered it to the metal again when I pulled it off. It took off the metal that was on there. I think that's going to be a poor one. And unfortunately, the soldering iron that I got didn't have the nice squeegee tip, the one that allows you to remove solder when you put on too much. So we will see how that goes. That may be a troublesome spot, and I'll need to redo that at some point. But last one, so resistor 6. Go ahead and fold this down. Go ahead and fold the other one down. And then pink goes to the right. So I'm going to turn that around, slide it in. There we go. I'll go ahead and do some snipping. All right. Now we will solder this. So let's clean the tip. And then come down to resistor 6 and add some solder. Add some to the other side as well. Okay. That left one looks okay, that right one doesn't. So I'll try it one more time. All right, so there we go. All right, so we're going to do a little cleanup now at this point. We've got some metal here that we need to abscond with. Empathy. All right, so we've completed all of the pink level resistors. There were 9 of them. So if you look up here, we've got 4 that we've put on this side over here. We've got 3 up here at the top of our board and 2 on the bottom. Those should match with the pink ones that we have up here at the top, the 4 that we have on the left, and the 2 that we have on the bottom here. Now over here, we're going to put in 8 resistors and then 1 at the top. These are all my green resistors, which I have over here. Oh, there should be one more pink one. Should be one more pink one right here. What is that? That's resistor 19. So which one of these is my last pink one? This one's my last pink one. Here, I was thinking I was done. Silly. All right, so let's do that. And pink is to the right on this one, so that's this orientation. Right. Put that in its spot. Trim the edges. We'll do some soldering. Right. That's going to be this position here. Some of the solder ended up sticking to the side over here. So that is now all of my pink ones. So now we're going to go on to our green resistors. Go and use this one first, since it's the lone resistor. And I'm going to put this up at the top, and it's green down. Green down. Okay. All right, so that's going to be in this third position here, green down. Go ahead and trim this. Trim this. And then we're going to solder it in place. That's going to be this third position here. That's that one. And that one. I think that gets it good. Let's check. So those all look pretty good up at the top. All right, so the only thing I have left is R7 through R14, these positions here, which correspond to the ones that I've got here on the right side. That's going to be these 8. They're all green to the left, which means they're all going to be in that orientation. Go ahead and finish this off. Thank you for indulging me coming by my stream. The video will be up later this week on YouTube. May actually make some selections for my TikTok channel. Now that I've been working on that, kind of a New Year's resolution to kind of get back into creating. All right, let's see this. How's that look? It's not too bad. All right, second one. Again, green goes to the left. So that's this orientation here. go ahead and insert this in. Push that through. And do some trimming. Right, and then we will solder this in place. These are a lot closer than the other ones, so I'm trying to be a little bit more careful about this, but we'll see how it goes. Definitely worried about these joints overlapping. They don't appear to yet. That's good. 2 down, 6 to go. Again, green goes to the left. Oh, this little warning I see on the manual up there. It says, try not to be impatient. I'm trying not to be impatient. I've never done this before, so patience is really the only skill that I've got at this point. Because soldering certainly isn't a skill that I have. Glue back here. I need to keep all my trash close by. That's not trash. I need to keep it where I said I was going to keep my resistors. Right, and I'll go ahead and get some solder again. This is in our 3rd position. That looks good. All right. All right. Those connections look pretty good. So let's go on to number 4. Stop it. So we're getting close to halfway done with the green, or we are halfway done with the green after this one. More than halfway done. All right. Trim these off. This is the part that I'm going to be worried about, this set of resistors, because they are so close together. Almost as close as the PCB boards when I get to those. I haven't cleaned the tip off in a while, so let's go ahead and draw a bead. Bring that on. All right, so these are the 4th sets over here, so let's go ahead and bring them in. Bring that in as well. Let's see. I think I'm starting to get a knack on this. It's what I think. I may be completely off, but I think I'm starting to get how this goes. All right, remember the green goes to the left. I am constantly reminding myself the orientation on some pieces matter, so I'm assuming that the orientation on all pieces matter. So just trying to be conscientious of that when we do this. Okay. There we go. Let's do that. That's my problem, is that I tend to bend these when I'm trying to put them in place because it's hard for me to get the legs bent at enough of an angle to get these resistors close. And so my resistors tend to stand off. They tend to stand off quite a bit off the board. So I'm working on it. This is my first project ever, and y'all are gonna y'all are along with me for the ride. Kicking and screaming, but along for the ride. All right, keep all my trash together in that one spot. Got my resistor down. I'm going to solder this in place. That's that one. It should be that one. That's hot. Let's try not to burn ourselves too many times. Idiot. Right, I think that's good. Yeah, 350 degrees is hot. It's like 350 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, green goes on the left. Sticks go in the holes. Push the resistor as close as we can. Still hurts. Right, so let's get some solder going. It's going to be position 6. Just make sure I've got it in the right spot. Okay. Right, 2 more. Then we start moving to some of the more sensitive components, which terrify me a bit. Green goes on the left. Okay. I'll go ahead and slip those through the holes. Right. Get those close. Make sure my trash goes in one spot. All right, let's go ahead and tin this a bit. We haven't done it in a while. All right, and these, it's going to be spot 7. Okay. That looks okay. Now our last resistor. Again, we're going to put green to the left. Right. All right, so let's finish this off. A little bit of solder on either end. Awesome. All right, how does that look? I think that looks as good as I can tell. I can try and move this up, but it's not going to focus very well. But you can see on focus a little bit better. Come on. No, no, that's not going to work. I'm using an Android phone as my extra camera up there, and it's just not very good. But I've used up all 9 of each color of resistor, so I think that looks the way I'm expecting it to. So the last things I need to do for this slide is I've got these 2 capacitors, and just looking at the capacitors, it doesn't appear that there's any real orientation to them. I have no idea if there's an orientation to them, so I just kind of have to kind of go with what I've got. So I've got capacitor 1, which is this one here on the left. Again, sticking these wires through the hole. Now this one I'm going to have to be careful with because capacitors carry current. Definitely don't want to short it out. Definitely don't want to... let's not do that. Don't want to overheat it to the point where it's no longer useful as a component. There we go. All right. So since we're doing something new, let's go ahead and take care of that a bit more. This is going to be our first capacitor that we've ever done. And again, I've done this old, let's solder the solder to the board. This is a problem in real life for a lot of electricians, though. You end up soldering your solder to the board. I mean, obviously solder 6 with solder best, but you hope it's not too bad. And I'm kind of wondering if I've kind of gotten it a little too close. Well, this is an experiment, and we are learning together. And you know what? Whatever happens, happens. We're not judging each other anyway, so that's all that matters. Or at least I'm not judging you. You may be judging me. I would imagine there's the people who are watching this that have actually done lots of electronics in their past. Let's put this in the correct way, not the incorrect way. A lot of people who've done electronics in their past, they're probably looking at this and just shaking their head in, like, you idiot. How did you survive to this age? I'm sure that's what you're thinking, right? All right, let's go ahead and solder this in. And that is not what I wanted to do. I have completely filled a different hole. That is what we call a bad thing. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get that cleaned up as much as I can. And hopefully that won't be something that bites us in the butt later on. Basically what happened is where this capacitor is right here, there's 2 holes and then there's a chain of holes down here. And I've basically managed to fill that first hole up with solder. That's going to be a problem later on. I may need to see if I can, okay, I can see light through it, so I know it's not too bad. Now it has been a hot minute since I've cleaned up my area. So let's go ahead and take care of that. But we have completed all the components on this slide, and it only took us, what, 30 minutes to do that? I know the electricians out there are probably looking at this and going, my goodness, you are just an idiot. But this is my first time soldering. My first time doing really any electronics whatsoever. So, hey, I'm having fun. I'm having a blast. I'm learning something, and here we are. So that was the first step. So now the next thing that we've got is we're going to be putting the switches, the transistors, the shift registers, and the 7-segment displays in. That's going to be the next thing. All right, so I'm looking at this. Probably the switches are going to be the biggest thing. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the one in the middle. That's my potentiometer. So this is going to allow me to dial things up to 11. This one is slightly bent, so I'm going to try and unbend it. Because I've got 3 holes that I need to orient to these 3 pegs. And I need to make sure they're all in there correctly. That one and these 2. There we go. And I'm supposed to trim these as well. I'm going to go to about half their height because I'm worried I'm going to make a mistake. That's the thing, is I'm just worried I'm going to make just all sorts of mistakes here. All right. So this is my potentiometer. I go ahead and clean my tip again. So get some water on here. Get some solder on here. So it's water, solder, water. That's the rule here. Now we're going to fill in these holes here with solder. And of course, the hope is that I don't transfer too much heat to the device itself to kill it, while at the same time I transfer enough solder to make sure that it gets done. And I think I've done it again. I think I've bridged that. It certainly looks like I have. So I'm going to try and snip that off there. Let's just snip that side. I should snip that side, and that's the bridge that I made. Wonderful bridge. But I no longer have a bridge there. Now I just don't have any contact whatsoever on that 3rd post, so I'm going to add that back. And again, I've soldered my solder to the piece. Yeah. All right, so that looks good. And so that's my potentiometer. So this is a little dial that I've got here that's going to allow me to change the resistance variably manually. And then I've got these switches. These switches have 4 posts in them. So I'm going to need to make sure that I've got these 4 posts in here. And they're kind of arced. So is there something special I'm supposed to do for these switches? They'll fit in the holes quite tightly if they don't pop in flat. Check that the legs are all aligned properly. They should hold on their own. So flip the board and solder the pins to the pads. The pins are short, so they shouldn't need trimming. Okay. So okay, so these should fit well. I can't really tell which end is up and which end is down, so we will try that, but it certainly looks like 2 of the 4 legs are peeking through. Get that leg in. There we go. So that's all 4 legs. And that's a nice button sound there. That's nice. All right. Pins are short, so they shouldn't need trimming. So we'll go ahead and just solder those in. And they're snug, which is nice. And they're far apart, which is nice. So let's see. Looks like I've got some solder on all four of them. So now it leaves the other switch position, the switch position on the left of the potentiometer. This one looks like these bottom legs are kind of bent in a little, so I'll try and pop them out a little. Again, nice clicky sound. Each one of these seems to have a good resistor attached to them, hopefully. There we go, everything's in. So now I just need to solder that up. I'm going to clean the tip again. So those should be those four tips. They all look fairly well. I'll redo that one. Side as well, just to make sure. Those are good now. And I think I'm going to redo this one. It looks a little done. That looks better. All right, so at this point we have two clicky clickies and a switchy switchy. So that's those. Now we have these boards. I'm noticing that the curved notch goes on the left. So for these, the curved notch goes on the left, and I've got 16 of these to solder. Goodness. Hi, how are you doing? I'm fine. And again, these also look like they're short enough that I don't need to worry about clippy clippy. All right. Actually, because of the capacitor, these really should have been done first. It would have been nice to have. Why is it telling me to do all of them at once? The thing is So here's the issue that I'm looking at right now. If I look at these these chip holders, they're actually shorter than the buttons, and so when I lay it flat, this kind of tips out. I need to have it closer to like that. So I'm going to have to hold it while I'm soldering it, which means I'm going to burn my finger again like I did before, which I'm not keen on. Yeah, let's see how we do that. Note to self next time, put these in before putting these in. Makes total sense, doesn't it? All right. So let's see. This I think I can use as a bridge, maybe? Like, can I get this to hold that up? Maybe. I can make this work. I can make this work. Make this work. Yep. All right, so I'm going to clean the tip again. And each of these needs to be separate so that they don't touch each other. I don't want to cross any of the signals. This isn't Ghostbusters. We don't want to cross the streams. I need to redo that one. That one looks good. That one looks good. All right, so let's see where we're at here. I see the silver on all 8 of them. And it looks like they're all separate. So now let's work on the other 8. And see, this is the problem that I'm talking about with all those tips over there. So let me see if I can press that under here. How about sideways? Nope. How about there's something else I can use as a... I think that'll work. I'll leave it like that. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So it looks like each of those worked pretty well. Did they? No, they didn't. That was horrible, actually. Because they tipped sideways. I had that thing leaning out, and now they're all tipped sideways. And that's... not sure how I'm going to fix that. I think that's just going to be a defect, and that may be a fatal defect on here. So if you look at what we've done here, let's see if I can show that. Notice how this is kind of tipped. This side over here is farther away from the PCB than this side over here. That's a problem. I think that's a problem. So, yep, that's going to be a bad thing. Okay. Well, all I can do at this point is continue. I can go back over that soldering with I guess a solder sucker later, I guess. I don't know. Mine didn't come with one, and so I've got to figure out how to remedy that. Yeah, I'm not a real guy. I just play one on TV. All right. Let's see if I can get this to work the way I'm expecting it here. Wish I had some way to hold this. Oh. Can I use this? No, I don't think I can use that. It will hold it, but again, I'm going to have the opposite problem here, is that these bottom pieces are going to pop out unless I physically press my finger against this side. And these just aren't long enough to take enough of that chip inside. Yeah. Well, I need to figure out something here. Can I do this? If I do that, this is going to teeter all over the place. Do I have anything I can use over here that's not the right height? This, maybe? Yeah, that'll work. Let me tin this a bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Getting too close to my fingers. 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, so we will see how that works. Though that looks a little flatter, it looks a little better. I haven't burned myself on it yet, so that looks good. This side over here, I don't know. We will see. But at this point, I don't know why I'm on the screen. So I've done these chip holders. I've done the 2 switches. I've done the potentiometer. Excuse me. So I need the 4 displays, which I'm currently using as a support. Dots go down. That's good to know. Now it said transistors. I haven't put any of the transistors in here yet. It looks like the transistors are going to go here. The 4 transistors are going to go here. And it looks like these so do those go here? Am I going to like line the bottom of those? Is that how that works? I don't know. I haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm guessing my transistors go in these 4 spots because they weren't here before. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at our transistors. Is there any orientation that I need to worry about that? Let's see, the transistors. I see switches, PNP transitions. They can be tricky to solder because the legs are so close together. We've spaced out the pads a little to make it easier. Notice the semicircular shape of the transistor looking at the top. Match this with the footprint of the CCP. Okay, so the semicircular shape. So notice all of these, the circle part goes to the right. That's what I needed to make sure I got. And goodness, yeah, the legs, look, they are so close together. That's 3 legs there we're looking at here. Come on, 3 legs, 3 legs. 3 legs, show me 3 legs. Okay. I'm just not going to show it to you. Anyway, circles go this way, so I need to make sure I've got all 3 holes oriented correctly. Let's try this again. Circles. This orientation circle needs to go to the top for me. These legs are just so close together, and I need to get them in their particular holes. And this is only going to get tougher because they're really close together as well. Because that's how circuits are, I guess. Well, let's try this side over here. Think I got? No? Maybe? Kind of, sort of? No. Just one flat. Goodness. Come on. There we go. Finally, there's the first transistor, and it kind of spreads them apart fairly wide. I don't want to force it anymore. We're going to go ahead and trim. It's been a while since we trimmed. There we go, take that. All right. It's also been a while since I've cleaned this off, so let's go ahead and clean that off again. All right, so we've got these 3 transistors, and there's, why are you? All right, so 1, 2. Oh wait, I don't need them anymore. Completely screwed this one up. Yeah, there's a huge bridge there between those 2 pipes. Goodness, I'm gonna have to get in here with my clips and clip that bridge out. I can't even get in there at the right angle. Calm down. Deep breath. And let's try this again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix that. Hit me. Something bit me. Interesting. All right. I've got a mess there. I'm gonna have to figure that out later. Cool. Transistors are horrible. Transistors are horrible. Transistors are horrible. So let's work on the second one. So that's what we do. We just plow on. And that's why I'm doing this one instead of the motherboard first. So I figured if I screwed up the motherboard, then, you know, I'm just out. I can't do anything else. But if I screw up this display, I just don't have a display. I have other ways of doing it. I've got other LEDs that I can look at, but this just... Thing is, these holes are too close together. Too difficult to get stuff in. And if it's not perfectly straight, then this doesn't slide in. There we go. trim these. There we go. Those been trimmed, and goodness, that's so tiny, so narrow, so. All right. It's just sticking to this. It's not actually sticking to the pen. I've tinned this. I think looked good. That one I think looked good. So that transistor I think actually came out okay. I mean, I don't see any obvious bridging between it. Doesn't mean there isn't, but I don't see any obvious bridging. We'll just go through and I'll deal with that other transistor later when we're actually testing this board. I don't even know how to test it. Right, there's my third transistor, but I'm doing it in fourth position. Hopefully that doesn't cost me a problem later on. All right. Yeah, I've got bridging again. That's the thing. The solder is sticking to the pole at the top, and it's not sticking down to the... I apologize. I know this is not very exciting to see, but thought I'd do it together with you. Thought it would be fun. Thought we could do this together as a family. And again, the problem is that I've got this top-heavy, these things that are so big, and then we're putting on these small ones first, and it didn't tell us. In fact, it told us to put the switches on first. That's the thing that I would change. I would put these smaller components on first. So lessons learned for the future, but I've already got these huge components on, and I've got to work around them now. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and put the transistors on. Later on, I'm going to have to get one of those suckers, clear out the solder, and redo these joints. I just need to make sure I have all these oriented in the correct position. And this, I'm pretty much prepared for this to be a failure at this point. I've kind of set myself up for it. At this point, I've also got these 3 tiny, tiny holes in between other tiny holes that I've got to get in. Okay, so let's see. These holes here, these poles here. See, I had thought originally, when I did this Kickstarter, I thought originally these were going to be like plug-in components where all you would have to do is just plug them in. I was thinking this is going to be for, not going to lie, a younger age group. Because it said 12-year-olds. I'm trying to imagine my son when he was 12 doing this. And it's not something I can imagine easy. It really isn't. I mean, I'm not saying that he would have been beyond his skill set, but it's pretty out there. Okay, that one did well. That one I think did well. That one I think did well. Let me redo that one just to make sure. Yeah. See, okay, these transistors I can do about half the time. About half the time, they come out fairly nice, 6 out of 10. And the other half of the time, they are like butt ugly 1 out of 10. Just horrible stuff. So just really, really gross and disgusting stuff. Sorry about that. That's just the way things are. All right, so I'm going to tidy up this part of my area because I've had some clippings going on when we've dealt with these transistors. There's a piece in here that I need to get out. We're getting, what, like 2/3 of the way done? Right. Last thing I've got for this screen is the 7-segment displays. Be aware of the orientation of the display when inserting them. Make sure the decimal point is the bottom right. You can insert all 4, secure them, then solder the pins. Try not to hold the iron on too long as the white plastic casing can melt. You need to snip the legs of these as they're quite long and poking. Make sure you reflow the solder joints after you snip the legs to make sure the solder hasn't cracked. Okay. So nice and pokey. Dot is bottom right. And don't melt the plastic. Okay, that one pull is slightly bent. Straighten you out a bit. Straighten out too much. In there. Too good for your home? It's your home. There we go. Now y'all are not going to work, right? That's how it is. Only the top or bottom works. None of them work at the same time. There we go. So that's the second set. Here's the third one. All right. And again, I'm going to have that same problem because I've got this potentiometer that we put in. That's my fault entirely. I don't think it's completely my fault. I think they probably should have on these assembly instructions, this page that I'm looking at right now. This should have been down here. Switches, potentiometer, that's done last on this step. These transistors, these sockets, these segment displays, the potentiometer that it's got here, those really need to come down here. All right, so I'm going to snip these. This is where someone tells me I need to use eye protection when I'm doing this. And they're probably right, I probably should. Squints. My squint game on. So we're all good. Ideally, I probably should be doing these one at a time instead of like 3 and 4 at a time, so that they don't shoot completely all over the place, but I've already set sail to that boat. All right. There's all my trash. Here's my pink. I'm going to put this here and let that be where we're resting it. And then I will solder from there. And again, I'll get my little spacer that I used earlier, because it worked fairly well to make this flat. I'm going to clean off the tip of my soldering iron again. There we go. Right. Again, I'm going to try not to melt the plastic. Stop it. See what they're doing. Quiet. All right, so real quick recap, because what I have done so far is I've tried to do all the tops of these displays. That top one's a little misaligned, but we'll make do. I did not appear to melt the plastic, which is a good thing. I also appear to have gotten each of the contacts pretty well, except for that one, which I will do real quick. Just redo this one. All right. So that's going to leave the bottom ones that I need to do now. So let me retin this. Just bridged one. So they all look good with the exception of this one here, this third, this U3. The bottom two pins I've bridged, and I need to fix that. It's going to be hilarious because I'm going to have this display and only like one of the letters are going to light up, only one of the LEDs are going to light up, half the resistors won't work. That's what you get when it's like your first time ever doing stuff like this. It's just really fun. It's interesting. It's a learning experience. That's what I'm taking in. This is my learning experience. I've never soldered until about 2 hours ago when I started this. I've actually, yeah, 2 hours ago. I've never done any real electronics until now. And the thing is, you have to learn sometime, and something has to be your first experiment. And then you hope later on you have your first successful experiment. That's the issue. I kind of would hope this would be my first successful experiment, but I have a feeling I'm just going to have to settle for this being my first experiment. All right, so getting my trash disposed of. This is where we're at. So, I have all my resistors. I have transistors here. I have my resistors up here. I have resistors over here. I have my alphanumeric. I've got my buttons and my twisty thing. I've got my two seats. I've got a capacitor, and then another resistor, and then I've got two resistors under each of the switches. That's where I'm at right now. So the last thing I've got is my light emitting diodes. The terminal blocks are interlocking, so slide each of them together to make a chain of 11. To make this line of terminal blocks fit in the hole, you need to squeeze the blocks together a bit. Oh, so that's this. So in other words, I need to kind of fit all of these together. Cool. I'll do that later. How do I know which LED is which? Well, we have to turn them on. Be careful, do not connect them directly to ground and VCC. They will likely blow. I have to turn them on. That's going to be interesting. To check the color, follow the code guide in this manual to turn the LED circuits on. Now you can insert the LEDs in any position to find out what color. So in other words, just making sure I understand this. Everything has to work perfectly for the LEDs to turn on. That is great. All right. Do not connect them directly to ground and VCC. They will likely blow. Follow the code guide in this manual to turn the LED circuits on. Yeah, I haven't gotten to the code part of this. Right now, I'm still in the assembly part of it. And I've assembled this, but I know my transistors are bad. I know that I've messed up on the soldering of my transistors. I believe everything else is passable. It's okay. The short lead is negative, the long lead is positive. All right, well, let's at least do this part. And I think I may end up stopping at this part just because. Okay, so these are supposed to interlock. These are supposed to interlock. Supposed to interlock. Okay, so they do interlock, and I just need to make sure the slanted side is this side. I have to do all 11 of these together. Okay, so the metal side, that makes more sense. I need to have those sides together. Okay. Oh, that's 3, 4. Those I don't think went in correctly. So we'll try them again. There. This one didn't go in correctly. That one snapped out. Great, this is a wonderful little puzzle. Joyous. There's 5. 6. Those popped out, so I'll have to pop them back in. Those popped out, so I gotta pop those back in. Goodness. This is going to be fun and tedious. Those in. Nope. Slipped out. That in. Still not in correctly. this one. This is turning, which means this one here is out of position. Riveting viewing, I'm sure, right now. I apologize for that. But I am learning along with you, unless you already know how to do this, in which case you, congratulations, you're a better person than I am at this. Just the way that that's turning should be a lot straighter than that, so I know I've missed a couple of holes here. Keep in mind, once I've done all of this, these all have to go in these holes here, preferably straight. Which means that one's the one that's not, because each of those are relatively straight. Kind of straight, maybe straight, sort of straight. Better straight. Magellan straight. Ouch. It doesn't help that I keep stabbing myself with the bottoms of these pins, but that looks straight. And those go in here. Right? How do they go? How do they go? Slanted part goes up, I'm guessing? I guess, kinda, sorta, maybe. Holes definitely go. Definitely putting poles in holes. So I'm definitely not going to finish the LEDs tonight. That is going to be something we're going to save for another time because I have no way of testing which is which at this point. These are not going into the holes correctly. There's a slight misalignment. I'm trying to figure out where that misalignment is. So it's up to that point that they're good. So I'll go ahead and push those down. And these should slide in later, like here. Yes. That's how those slide in. Excellent. All right, so now that that's been off for so long, I'm going to need to solder all 22 of those points. All right. That's one. That's the second one. That's the third one. I don't know, I got on a roll earlier and these things just really just knocked out. Now I'm not. And again, I'm going to blame it on that potentiometer, the fact that it's just sticking out so much and so everything's rotating, which is frustrating. We'll put this on this end over here, and we will go. The third one just didn't look right, but now it's good. This fifth one, fourth one, fifth one, sixth one. Riveting viewing, I know. Doesn't help that this is conducting heat up this solder wire. So fingers are slowly getting hotter and hotter. Let's see where we're at right now. All right, so some of these look okay, some of these look horrible. These four right here look like I need to do a little bit more work on, so I'm going to do a little bit more work on them. Let's clean my tip, make it shine, clean it again. I'm going to put these last four here, so you, some. You get some, and that's a bridge. You get to do that one. You get that. Okay. Oh, that's nice. I was able to clean up that bridge there. All right. So at this point, that one still doesn't look great. Come on, get in there. All right. So I'm going to have to finish up some bridges. I'm going to have to take care of those. I have to take care of some of these cleanup. At this point, it's primarily cleanup that I'm going to have to do to clean this up. But there is my first soldering work. Cool. So the only thing I have left to do is I've got to take care of the the LEDs. Yeah, I've got those LEDs that I still haven't identified yet, so I still have no idea what color they are. Those I need to put on. I need to put the chips in here, but I don't want to do that until I've actually tested everything. And then I've got the stand-ups that I'm going to need to put in to kind of make sure everything's raised up nice and high. But what's nice about this is that it basically, you get the whole instructions on how to solder. You get the instructions on how to put it together. And you get to put together electronics. This is a really good thing. This is by so this is done by shortcircuits.cc. That's the website where if you want to buy your own to do these, you can do that. It's a great system, and I'm going to I've got 3 more of these that I have to put together, and I really want to try and have some fun with this. So it's going to be great. It's going to be lots of fun. So I'm going to stop at this point. Had a blast. This is my first time ever really doing any stuff. Let me turn off my soldering iron. That would be a nice thing to do. And at this point, I'm done for tonight. It's just after midnight my time. But other than that, we're good. So once again, this is Mr. Potter. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.